Hey everyone, Eric here. I am the host of the Unseen Paranormal Podcast. Join me for a new episode every Wednesday as I delve into the unseen world with historians, authors, researchers, and investigators as we try to understand and make sense of the paranormal. You can listen to past and future episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, or at unseenparanormalpodcast.com. Please like the show on Facebook and share with your friends. And remember, some of the scariest things are unseen.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Southern Ghost Stories, where we talk about some of the most haunted places in the South. We hope you have been enjoying your October so far. We still have a lot more spooky stories to go. We also hope you enjoyed our last podcast on Cave Hill Cemetery. Today, we're heading back to the Low Country to talk about Calhoun Square in Savannah, Georgia. Alan, you want to go ahead and tell us about the square?
Calhoun Square is located 2 blocks to the northeast of Forsyth Park on Abercorn Street between Taylor and Gordon Streets in Savannah, Georgia. The square was named in honor of John C. Calhoun, a prominent politician from South Carolina. Calhoun was a polarizing yet prominent figure in the antebellum South. He ran for president in 1824 after serving as James Monroe's Secretary of War. In a crowded field with John Quincy Adams, Henry Clay, Andrew Jackson, and William H. Crawford, Calhoun realized he didn't have the support to win the presidency and aligned himself with John Quincy Adams. Henry Clay helped work out a deal behind closed doors, which later became known as the corrupt bargain. It ultimately handed the presidency to Adams and the vice presidency to Calhoun.
In 1828, Calhoun made history by switching allegiances and aligned himself with Andrew Jackson during the lead up to the election, thinking this would make him a shoo-in to be president in the future. Calhoun became Old Hickory's vice president when Jackson defeated Adams to become the 7th president of the United States. Even though they were allies during the campaign, Calhoun often clashed with Jackson, and it reached a fever pitch when his wife, Florida Calhoun, started a controversy which was ultimately called the Petticoat Affair, when all the wives of the president's cabinet shunned Peggy Eaton socially. Eaton was the wife of Secretary of War John Eaton, who was also one of Jackson's closest friends. Typically, all of the wives of the cabinet members hung out together and paid each other social calls, but the Calhouns thought Eaton was a commoner and treated her as such, which infuriated President Jackson. Calhoun eventually resigned his position and returned to the United States Senate during the last year of his term as vice president. Calhoun ran for president in 1844, but was seen as old and never really could get his footing. He lost the Democratic nomination to James K. Polk, Andrew Jackson's political protege from Tennessee. Despite the loss, Calhoun was revered in South Carolina as well as most southern states and remained in politics until his death in 1850. A year after his death, the square in Savannah was laid out and named in his honor.
There are a lot of historic and haunted buildings in Calhoun Square. The Espy House is located on 421 Abercorn Street on the corner of Wayne and Abercorn. We did a podcast on the Espy House last year. If you don't remember, this is the home of the bootlegging Judge Espy, whose son was killed after a run-in with mobsters. His son wound up disfigured on the front porch and died shortly thereafter. Judge Espy then took care of his granddaughter, who also died in the house from an accident. To the west of Calhoun Square is the Wesley Monumental United Methodist Church, which features a Gothic Revival architectural style. Construction on the church began in 1875, but it took 12 years to fully complete due to outbreaks of yellow fever in Savannah. The building serves as a monument to John and Charles Wesley, who were founders of the Methodist movement in the United States.
On the corner of Wayne and Abercorn is 432 Abercorn, which many consider to be the most haunted place in Savannah. We also did a podcast on that house a few months ago. It's believed to be where several children have died, and many people have felt nauseous just standing outside the old house. On East Gordon Street, you will find the Old Massey School. The school opened in 1865 and was the first public school in Savannah catering to poor children who yearned for an education. The school was also used for a short time as a hospital after William Tecumseh Sherman's infamous March to the Sea. The school closed in 1974, but reopened a year later as the Massey Heritage Center, a museum that takes you back in time to the early days of Savannah.
The actual square itself is thought to be very, very haunted. In 2004, workers from a utility company were working in front of the old Massey School and found a human skull. As they started to dig a little more, they found another bone, and then another, and then another bone. Before long, several skeletons were exhumed. In the 19th century, typically bodies were buried on the outskirts of town. Since the square wasn't laid out until 1851, it's thought that the land past Taylor Street was used as a mass burial ground for slaves. Once slaves died, wealthy planters would have their bodies hauled away to the outskirts of town, where a hole was dug and the body was thrown into it. It's believed that over 1,000 slaves were buried in the area that is now known as Calhoun Square. Today, people often capture orbs in their pictures taken in the square. And like we mentioned earlier about 432 Abercorn, where it's believed that several children died in the house, people have felt nauseous standing in front of the old home. Many have also complained of feeling sick all around the square. Chelsea and I have taken ghost tours around Calhoun Square, and while we haven't seen anything ourselves, we did hear people talking about feeling unsettled and how they felt like someone was watching them. One person told me they felt really uncomfortable and they felt like someone was walking behind them even though we were standing behind everyone else and nobody was there. Others who take ghost tours and walk around Calhoun Square late at night, they claim they've seen black masses and shadow people moving in and out of the trees before disappearing into the dark.
We hope you enjoyed our episode on Calhoun Square. If you would like to learn more about haunted locations around Savannah, download the Savannah Ghost Map app in iTunes and Google Play. Also, be sure to check out our website, southernghoststories.com. Feel free to leave a comment or send us a message on our Facebook or Instagram accounts. We'd love to hear about any creepy experiences you've experienced, as well as any ideas on new locations you'd like to hear about on future shows.
And be sure to check out some of our books we've done. Southern Ghost Stories, Historical Hauntings, Haunted Hotels, Ghost of Gallatin, and our newest one, Murfreesboro, Spirits of Stones River. Please check out our Southern Ghost Stories Facebook page, where we have some events coming up this month. We are doing 2 events in Gallatin on October 23rd and 24th. We'll keep everyone updated through the Facebook page. Also, I'll be doing a ghost tour in Murfreesboro on October 30th. We'll also post that on the Facebook page. Be sure to subscribe and leave a 5-star review. Those reviews are very helpful, and we really appreciate everyone who's taken a few minutes to do it for us. Please check back with us next time as we head back to Florida to talk about the Kenwood Inn in St. Augustine.
Calhoun eventually resigned his position and returned to the unit.
To the west of Calhoun Square is the Wesley Monument. To the west of Calhoun Square man. And those books Chelsea mentioned, those are...
I didn't mention any books.
Okay.
I just blew. Just messed all that up for you, didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
November 6th, National Kindness Day.
So what are you going to do on National Kindness Day? Will you be nice to me on that day?
I'll have to think about it. I haven't decided if I'm celebrating yet or not.
What do you get when you cross a vampire with a snowman?
Frostbite! You stole that from Disney.
I thought it was kind of clever and good for a family-friendly podcast.
Well, maybe I'm not the one you should have used that on.